My beloved child, can you give me just 1 minute? Before you rush to the next task, before your thoughts carry you into worry about tomorrow, before the noise of this world pulls you in 100 directions, I am asking you for only 60 seconds. Just 1 minute. Not an hour. Not a lifetime promise. Just 1 sacred minute with me. I see how busy you are. I see the weight on your shoulders, the endless lists in your mind, the quiet pressure to keep going even when your heart feels tired. You wake up already thinking about what must be done. You fall asleep still carrying what was not finished. And somewhere in the middle of all of it, you tell yourself you do not have time. Not even for me. But my beloved child, what if I told you that the very thing you are missing is hidden inside 1 simple minute? You believe change must be large to matter. You think breakthrough requires great effort. You imagine that to hear my voice, you must climb a mountain of discipline. Yet I am standing here, gently whispering, just 1 minute. Because 1 minute with me can steady a shaking heart. 1 minute has softened fear. 1 minute can remind you who you truly are. You do not realize how powerful a pause can be. In 1 minute, your breathing can slow. In 1 minute, tears you have been holding back can fall safely. In 1 minute, the storm inside your thoughts can begin to quiet. I am not asking for perfection. I am not demanding performance. I am inviting presence. There are moments in your day when you feel alone, even in a crowded room. Moments when questions rise inside you. Am I enough? Will things ever change? Does anyone truly see me? My beloved child, I see you. I have always seen you. And in 1 minute of turning your heart toward me, you will feel what has always been true. You are not alone. Right now, as you hear these words, something inside you is stirring. That is not coincidence. That is not random timing. That is me reaching gently for your attention. I am not trying to burden you. I am trying to rescue you from the rush that is draining your soul. What could happen if you stopped just for 60 seconds and let me speak peace over you? What could shift if you allowed my love to touch the places you hide from everyone else? You think 1 minute is small, but in my hands, 1 minute becomes sacred ground. So I ask you again, with tenderness and urgency, can you give me just 1 minute? Because that 1 minute may be the doorway to the healing, clarity, and strength you have been searching for all along. My beloved child, I know what you are thinking. You are not refusing me because you do not love me. You are not turning away because you do not care. You simply believe you do not have time. From the moment your eyes open in the morning, your mind begins to run. Responsibilities line up before you like a long road with no end. Messages to answer. Bills to pay. People to care for. Expectations to meet. Even when you sit down to rest, your thoughts do not rest with you. They keep moving, playing, worrying, remembering, replaying. And so you say quietly within yourself, maybe later, when things calm down, when I have more time. But my beloved child, listen closely. The calm you are waiting for will not come from outside of you. Peace does not arrive when the schedule clears. It is born when you pause in the middle of the noise. Time is not truly what you are lacking. What you feel is a scattered heart. The world has trained you to measure your worth by productivity. It tells you that every second must produce something visible. It whispers that slowing down is weakness. It convinces you that if you stop, even briefly, you will fall behind. Yet I did not create you to live in constant motion. I did not design your soul to survive on pressure and performance. You are not a machine, my child. You are a living, breathing reflection of my love. And love cannot be rushed. The illusion of no time is one of the quietest traps you face. It sounds reasonable. It feels responsible. But slowly, it steals from you the very thing that restores you. You scroll for minutes without noticing. You worry for hours without realizing. You replay conversations in your mind again and again. And still you tell yourself you cannot spare 60 seconds for me. I do not say this to shame you. There is no condemnation in my voice. There is only compassion. I see how tired you are. I see how you carry more than you admit. You are trying to hold everything together, afraid that if you loosen your grip, something will fall apart. But what if, instead of everything falling apart, everything began to fall into place? Imagine a traveler crossing a long desert. He is determined to reach his destination quickly, so he refuses to stop. He tells himself that resting would slow him down. Yet with every mile, his strength weakens. His vision blurs. His steps grow unsteady. If only he would pause beside the well for a single minute, he would find water waiting for him. That 1 minute would not delay him. It would save him. My beloved child, I am your well in the desert of busyness. I am not another task to complete. I am the source that renews you. When you give me 1 minute, you are not losing time. You are gaining strength. You are allowing me to breathe life back into the parts of you that feel dry and strained. You think you cannot afford to stop. But the truth is, you cannot afford not to. I am not asking you to withdraw from your responsibilities. I am not calling you away from your family, your work, your calling. I am inviting you to anchor yourself before you step into them. 1 minute with me can steady your thoughts before a difficult conversation. 1 minute can soften your heart before you react in frustration. 1 minute can replace confusion with quiet clarity. You search for solutions in endless thinking. You try to control outcomes that were never meant to rest on your shoulders. Yet when you sit with me, even briefly, you remember that you are not alone in carrying your life. Time bends differently in my presence. 60 seconds with me can accomplish what hours of worry never will. So do not wait for a perfect window. Do not wait for silence to appear on its own. Created. Yardi. Claim it as sacred. Even if it is only 1 minute in your car, 1 minute before you sleep, 1 minute while the world moves around you. I am not asking for what you do not have. I am asking for what you think is too small to matter. Give me 1 minute, my beloved child, and watch how I multiply it into peace. My beloved child, you have been taught to overlook small things. You celebrate the grand achievements, the loud victories, the moments that everyone can see. But you forget that the greatest transformations often begin in silence, in something so small it almost seems insignificant. 1 minute may look small to you, but in my hands, it is sacred. Think of a seed. It is tiny, almost fragile. You could hold it between your fingers and barely feel its weight. Yet hidden inside that small shell is the blueprint for a tree that can grow tall and strong, offering shade, fruit, and shelter. The seed does not look impressive at first. It does not demand attention. But when it is planted in good soil and given even a little care, it begins a quiet miracle. Your 1 minute with me is like that seed. When you pause and turn your heart toward me, even briefly, something unseen begins to grow. You may not feel fireworks. You may not hear thunder. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Trust is deepening. That single minute becomes the starting point of something far greater than you imagine. You often wait until you feel spiritually strong to come to me. You think you must gather perfect words, steady emotions, or a calm mind before you can sit in my presence. But I do not measure your minute by how polished it sounds. I measure it by the sincerity of your heart. Even if all you can say is, "I am tired," that is enough. Even if all you can offer is silence, that is enough. My beloved child, heaven responds to the smallest turning of your heart. When you give me 1 minute, angels do not measure its length. They witness its intention. They see a child choosing connection over chaos. They see a soul choosing stillness over fear. And that choice opens doors in the unseen realm that you may never fully comprehend. You think your struggles are large and your time is small. But I am the one who multiplies small offerings into great outcomes. Just as a small spark can light a dark room, 1 minute with me can begin to push back the shadows that have lingered in your thoughts. Consider how quickly fear can enter your mind. Sometimes it takes only a few seconds for worry to rise. In the same way, peace can enter just as swiftly when you invite me in. 1 minute is long enough for me to remind you who you are. Long enough for me to whisper truth over the lies you have believed. Long enough for you to breathe in my presence and breathe out the tension you have been carrying. Do not underestimate what can happen in 60 seconds of surrender. I have seen lives change because someone chose to pause. I have seen broken hearts begin to mend because someone dared to be still. I have seen clarity replace confusion because a weary soul decided to listen instead of rush. A miracle did not begin with a dramatic act. It began with a simple, humble minute. My beloved child, I do not despise small beginnings. I cherish them. When you bring me 1 minute, it tells me that your heart is open, even if only slightly. And when your heart opens, even a little, my love flows in like light through a crack in the door. You may not see the growth immediately. Seeds do not become trees overnight. But every time you give me 1 minute, you are planting another seed of trust, another seed of peace, another seed of strength. Over time, those seeds form a garden within you, a place of rest that no storm can easily uproot. So when you feel that 1 minute is too small to matter, remember the seed. Remember that what is small in your eyes is never small in mine. Give me that sacred minute, and allow me to grow something eternal within your heart. My beloved child, there is something powerful that happens the moment you decide to pause. It may not look dramatic from the outside. No one around you may even notice. The world will keep spinning. The noise will continue. The demands will still exist. But inside you, a shift begins. When you pause, you interrupt the storm. Your thoughts often move like strong winds, circling the same worries again and again. You replay conversations. You imagine outcomes. You prepare for problems that have not even arrived. And before you realize it, your heart is racing, your body is tense, and your spirit feels heavy. But when you stop, even for 1 minute, you create space for something new to enter. In that pause, your breathing slows. Your shoulders begin to lower. A tightness in your chest softens. It is as if your soul has been running and finally finds a place to sit down. That moment of stillness is not empty. It is full of my presence drawing near. You may not see me with your eyes, but you will begin to sense me in the quiet. I do not shout over the chaos. I whisper within the calm. When you pause, you tune your heart to hear what has been there all along. My voice has never been far from you. It has only been covered by noise. My beloved child, silence is not something to fear. It is a doorway. Many people avoid stillness because it feels uncomfortable at first. When the distractions fade, emotions rise. Thoughts you have pushed aside begin to surface. You may suddenly feel sadness or regret or longing. But do not run from that. When those feelings rise in my presence, they are not there to overwhelm you. They are there to be healed. When you pause with me, you are not sitting alone with your pain. You are inviting me into it. Imagine a small child who has fallen and scraped their knee. At first, they cry loudly, overwhelmed by the sting. But when their parent kneels beside them and gently holds them, the pain begins to ease. The injury may still need time to heal, but the comfort changes everything. The child feels safe. The fear fades. The tears slow. That is what happens when you pause with me. Your wounds may not disappear instantly. Your problems may not vanish in a single minute. But the loneliness shifts. The weight feels lighter because you are no longer carrying it alone. In the quiet space, I begin to remind you of truth. I remind you that you are loved. I remind you that you are guided. I remind you that nothing in your life is beyond my reach. Buzz also restores your clarity. When you move too quickly, everything blends together. Decisions feel urgent. Reactions become sharp. But when you stop, even briefly, your perspective changes. You begin to see which thoughts are fear and which are wisdom. You begin to feel the difference between pressure and peace. Peace is my signature, my beloved child. When you pause and peace settles over you, that is me. You may think 1 minute is too short to matter, but that single minute can reset your entire direction. It can keep you from speaking words you would regret. It can give you patience where you were about to lose it. It can calm anxiety before it grows stronger. Do not underestimate the sacred interruption of a pause. In a world that praises constant motion, your stillness becomes an act of trust. It says, I believe there is something greater holding me. And when you trust me with even 1 quiet minute, I respond with comfort, guidance, and strength. So when life feels overwhelming, when your thoughts are loud and your heart feels unsettled, do not try to outrun the storm. Pause. Sit with me. Let the silence become holy ground. In that 1 minute, you will discover that I have been waiting there all along, ready to steady you, ready to hold you, ready to speak peace into your soul. My beloved child, let me tell you a story. There was once a young child who loved their father deeply. In the early years, the child would run into the father's arms without hesitation. They would sit together, laugh together, and share simple moments that felt endless. Time did not matter then. Being together was enough. But as the child grew older, life became busy. New responsibilities appeared. New interests captured attention. The child began to wake up and rush out the door. Days passed quickly. Evenings became filled with tasks and distractions. The love between father and child did not disappear, but the moments of stillness grew rare. The father would sit quietly in his chair near the window each evening. He did not demand attention. He did not shout for the child to stop everything. He simply waited, hoping for even a few moments together. Sometimes the child would pass by and say, I'm busy right now. Maybe later. And later often became tomorrow. One night, after a long and exhausting day, the child felt overwhelmed. Plans had failed. Words had been spoken in frustration. The world felt heavier than usual. Without even thinking, the child wandered into the room where the father was sitting. The father looked up, his eyes gentle and warm. He did not ask for explanations. He did not point out how long it had been. He simply opened his arms. The child sat down, at first awkwardly unsure of what to say. For a few seconds there was silence. Then tears began to fall. The father placed a steady hand on the child's shoulder. No long speech was needed. No perfect apology. Just presence. After only a minute, something shifted. The weight did not vanish completely, but it felt lighter. The fear that had been loud all day became quiet. The child remembered something that had almost been forgotten. They were not alone. They never had been. My beloved child, you are that child, and I am that father. I do not keep a record of how many times you rushed past me. I do not sit counting the minutes you did not give. I wait with patience that does not grow tired. I watch with love that does not fade. And when you finally step toward me, even after a long absence, I do not greet you with disappointment. I greet you with open arms. You may think that because you have been busy, distracted, or distant, you must rebuild everything from the beginning. But 1 minute in my presence restores what you thought was lost. Just as the child in the story found comfort in a simple embrace, you will find peace in the smallest turning of your heart. You do not need to prepare a speech before coming to me. You do not need to explain why you have been away. I already understand. I see the pressures you face. I know the expectations that weigh on you. I know how easily time slips through your fingers. All I desire is that you come. Even if it is only for a minute before you sleep. Even if it is one quiet breath in the middle of a busy afternoon. Even if all you can offer is silence and a tired heart. When you sit with me, I will meet you there. My beloved child, love does not measure time the way the world does. 1 minute of true presence is worth more than hours of distracted closeness. When you choose to sit with me, you are not fulfilling an obligation. You are returning to relationship. And just like the father by the window, I am not going anywhere. My arms remain open. My patience remains steady. My love remains unchanged. Come sit with me, even if only for 60 seconds. You may discover that what you have been searching for all day was waiting in that quiet embrace all along. My beloved child, you may wonder why this message is reaching you at this very moment. Out of all the voices you could be hearing, out of all the distractions competing for your attention, why are you hearing me say, "Give me just 1 minute"? This is not random. This is not coincidence. I am intentional with you. There are seasons in your life when I allow you to walk and learn, to grow through experience, to build strength through challenges. And then there are moments when I draw especially near, when I gently interrupt your routine because something important is unfolding. You are in one of those moments now. I see what is ahead of you. You may not fully understand the decisions that are forming in your life. You may not see the crossroads clearly yet, but I see them. I see the conversations that will shape your future. I see the opportunities that will require courage. I see the pressures that will try to pull you in directions that are not meant for you. And before those moments fully arrive, I am calling you to anchor yourself in me. 1 minute with me today can prepare you for what tomorrow holds. You often think preparation looks like planning harder, thinking longer, analyzing every possibility. But the deepest preparation begins in stillness. When you pause with me, I begin aligning your heart. I begin strengthening your inner foundation. I begin planting discernment within you so that when choices arise, you will sense my peace guiding you. I am asking now because your heart has been carrying more than it should. Quiet stress has been building inside you. Small worries have been stacking one on top of another. You have been pushing through, telling yourself that you can handle it. And yes, you are strong. But you were never meant to rely on strength alone. I am your source. When I call you to give me 1 minute, It is not because I need it. It is because you do. It is because I see how close you are to exhaustion. I see how easily discouragement could slip in if you keep moving without pause. And I love you too much to let you drift further without reminding you where your renewal is found. This is also a moment of invitation. There are times when I whisper gently, and there are times when I nudge more firmly. Not in anger, not in pressure, but in loving urgency. When you feel something inside you stirring as you hear my words, that is my spirit drawing you closer. That quiet pull is not imagination. It is connection. My beloved child, I know the questions that have been resting in your heart. Some you have spoken aloud. Others you have kept hidden. Questions about direction. Questions about relationships. Questions about your purpose. You have been searching for answers in many places, but clarity does not begin with more information. It begins with communion. I am asking now because I want to speak into those questions, not with complicated instructions, not with overwhelming demands, but with simple reassurance and steady guidance. When you sit with me for 1 minute, you create space for me to shape your thoughts gently. I begin to untangle confusion. I begin to soften fear. I begin to remind you of truths you already know but have nearly forgotten. This is a divine interruption, my beloved child. Not to disrupt your life, but to protect it. Not to slow your progress, but to strengthen your path. If you ignore this call, I will still love you. My patience does not run out. But if you respond, even now, you will feel the difference. You will sense a steadiness returning. You will notice that your reactions change. You will discover that peace is not as far away as it once seemed. I am asking now because now matters. This moment is alive with possibility. This minute you give me can shift the direction of your entire day. It can become the quiet beginning of a deeper trust between us. It can mark the point where you stopped running on empty and started resting in my presence. So do not brush this aside as just another thought passing through your mind. Hear my voice clearly, gently, firmly. My beloved child, this is your invitation. Give me 1 minute now and let me meet you in it. My beloved child, you carry wounds that no one else can see. Some were formed by harsh words spoken long ago. Some came from doors that closed without explanation. Some grew quietly from disappointments you never fully allowed yourself to grieve. You learned how to keep going. You learned how to smile when needed. You learned how to survive. But deep inside, there are tender places that still ache. And you wonder how something so small as 1 minute could possibly bring healing to something that has hurt for years. Listen to me closely. Healing does not always begin with a dramatic moment. It often begins with permission. Permission to stop. Permission to feel. Permission to bring your pain into my presence without fear of rejection. When you give me 60 seconds of stillness, you are not solving everything at once. You are opening the door. And when that door opens, even slightly, my light begins to enter the dark corners of your heart. Imagine a room that has been closed for a long time. Dust has gathered. The air feels heavy. At first, when you crack the window open, the change is subtle. A small breeze moves through. Fresh air begins to replace what was stale. Over time, the entire atmosphere shifts. But it starts with a simple opening. Your 1 minute with me is that open window. In that quiet space, I begin to gently touch the areas you have protected for so long. Not to expose you, not to shame you, but to restore you. My love does not rush into your wounds with force. It enters like warm sunlight, steady and patient. You may feel emotions rise when you sit with me. Tears you did not expect. Memories you thought you had buried. Do not be afraid of that. Those tears are not weakness. They are release. That surfacing memory is not punishment. It is an invitation for me to heal what you could not heal on your own. My beloved child, I am not intimidated by your broken places. I am not overwhelmed by your trauma. Nothing in your story is too messy for me to handle. When you give me 1 minute, you allow me to begin stitching together what has felt torn. Healing also comes in the form of truth. Many of your wounds were formed by lies you slowly accepted. Lies that told you that you were not enough. Lies that said you were too much. Lies that convinced you that love must be earned or that mistakes define you. In 1 minute of stillness, I can whisper truth louder than those lies. I can remind you that you are chosen. I can remind you that you are seen. I can remind you that your past does not cancel your future. Even if you only sit quietly and breathe, my spirit is working within you, replacing accusation with compassion, replacing fear with reassurance. Do not expect fireworks. Expect gentleness. Healing is not always loud. It is often quiet and steady. It is the slow easing of tension in your shoulders. It is the gradual softening of bitterness. It is the subtle return of hope where numbness once lived. 1 minute may not erase years of pain, but it can begin a new direction. And if you return again and again, giving me those small sacred pauses, you will look back one day and realize that what once controlled you no longer has the same power. My beloved child, you do not have to carry your wounds alone. You do not have to hide them from me. When you give me 60 seconds, you are saying, I trust you with this. And that trust opens the pathway for restoration. Let me hold the tender places of your heart. Let me breathe peace into them. Let me begin the healing that you have longed for but did not know how to start. Give me 1 minute, and watch how even the deepest ache begins to soften in my hands. My beloved child, there is a quiet battle happening around you every single day. It is not always loud. It does not always look dramatic. But it is constant. It is the battle for your attention. Your attention is precious. Wherever it rests, your energy flows. Whatever holds your focus begins to shape your thoughts, your emotions, and your decisions. And there are many voices competing for it. Notifications flash. Headlines shout. Opinions demand reaction. Expectations press in from every direction. The world has learned how to keep you busy, how to keep you scrolling, how to keep you thinking about everything except the stillness of your own soul. You may not even notice how quickly your attention is pulled away. 1 moment of quiet turns into 10 minutes of distraction. A simple pause becomes filled with noise. And before you realize it, the sacred space where we could have met has been crowded out. This is why 1 minute with me is so powerful. When you intentionally turn your attention toward me, even for 60 seconds, you are reclaiming something valuable. You are saying, my focus will not be owned by chaos. You are choosing alignment over confusion. You are stepping out of the current that tries to carry you endlessly downstream. The world feeds on urgency. It makes everything feel immediate and critical. It whispers that if you do not respond right now, you will miss out. But my beloved child, most of what demands your instant attention does not deserve your deepest focus. Your soul was not designed to live in constant reaction. When you live without pause, you begin to absorb every opinion, every fear, every pressure around you. Anxiety grows quietly because your mind never has time to settle. You begin to mistake noise for importance. You begin to forget what truly matters. That is why the enemy of your peace loves distraction. Distraction keeps you from reflection. It keeps you from hearing my gentle guidance. It keeps you too busy to notice how tired you truly are. If your attention is always scattered, your heart remains unsettled. But when you give me 1 minute, you disrupt that pattern. Imagine a compass that has been spinning wildly because of surrounding magnets pulling it in every direction. The needle cannot settle because interference surrounds it. But when the interference is removed, even briefly, the needle steadies and points true north. Your heart is like that compass. When you pause with me, interference fades. Your inner direction begins to steady. You remember what is true. You remember who you are. You remember that your worth is not defined by the latest demand or the loudest voice. My beloved child, attention is not just about what you look at. It is about what you allow to shape you. When you give me 1 minute of focused presence, you allow my peace to shape your thoughts. You allow my truth to shape your identity. You allow my wisdom to influence your decisions. You may think that 1 minute cannot compete with hours of distraction. But light does not need to be long to overcome darkness. Even a brief turning toward me can reset your inner atmosphere. This is an act of quiet resistance. When you pause, you are resisting fear. When you breathe in my presence, you are resisting anxiety. When you choose stillness over scrolling, you are protecting your soul. And I am not asking you to withdraw from the world completely. I know you have responsibilities. I know you must engage. But I want you to engage from a place of grounding, not from a place of constant reaction. 1 minute with me centers you. It strengthens you. It shields your heart from being pulled in every direction. So be aware of the battle for your attention. Guard it gently. Do not let everything have equal access to your mind. Reserve a sacred space for me. My beloved child, when you give me your attention, even briefly, you will discover that peace is stronger than noise, clarity is stronger than confusion, and my voice is steady even when the world is not. My beloved child, there are moments when you hesitate to come to me. Not because you are too busy this time, but because you feel unworthy. You replay your mistakes. You remember the words you wish you had not spoken, the choices you wish you had not made, the opportunities you feel you mishandled. Sometimes the voice in your mind grows loud, telling you that you should have known better, that you should be stronger by now, that you have disappointed me. And so, instead of running toward me for 1 minute, you pull back. You tell yourself that you will come when you are better, when you are more disciplined, when you feel more deserving. But listen carefully, my beloved child, you do not earn your way into my presence. If you had to be perfect to sit with me, you would never sit at all. If worthiness were the requirement, no one could stand. My love for you was never built on your performance. It was built on my heart. When you feel most unworthy is often when you need me most. Shame has a way of isolating you. It whispers that you should hide. It convinces you that distance is safer. But distance only deepens the ache. The longer you stay away, the heavier your heart becomes. Yet the very thing you fear, coming close, is the thing that will bring relief. Imagine a child who has broken something valuable in the house. The child knows it was an accident, yet fear rises. Instead of running to the parent for help, the child hides, hoping the problem will disappear. But the parent's love was never dependent on the object that was broken. The parent cares more about the child than about the damage. My beloved child, you are more important to me than your mistakes. There is nothing you have done that surprises me. There is no flaw in you that I have not already seen. And still, I choose you. Still, I call you my beloved. Still, I ask for 1 minute. Not to confront you, not to scold you, but to remind you that my grace is greater than your guilt. When you sit with me for 60 seconds, I do not hold a list in my hand. I do not replay your failures. I look at you with compassion. I see your effort. I see your struggle. I see the places where you tried and fell short. And instead of turning away, I draw closer. You may feel like your faith is inconsistent. You may feel like your discipline rises and falls. But my love does not fluctuate with your behavior. It remains steady. It remains firm. It remains open. 1 minute in my presence is not a test you must pass. It is a gift you are invited to receive. When you give me that minute, shame begins to lose its grip. Not because you suddenly become flawless, but because you realize that you are accepted even in your imperfection. The weight of self-criticism starts to lift. The harsh voice inside you softens as my voice grows clearer. I do not measure you by your worst day. I do not define you by your weakest moment. I define you by my love. My beloved child, come to me as you are. Come with your doubts. Come with your questions. Come with your unfinished growth. You do not need to clean yourself up before you sit in my presence. Sitting with me is what strengthens you to grow. If you only have 1 minute, give it honestly. Say, here I am. That is enough. If your heart feels heavy, let it be heavy in my hands. If you feel ashamed, let my grace meet you there. You are not unworthy of 1 minute with me. You are invited into it. And when you accept that invitation, you will discover that my love is not fragile. It does not break under the weight of your humanity. It holds you firmly, gently, completely. Come, my beloved child. You are already welcomed. My beloved child, you may think that prayer must be long to matter. You may believe that it must be carefully spoken, filled with beautiful words and perfect structure. But listen to me closely. The most powerful prayers are often whispers. When you give me 1 minute, you do not need a script. You do not need a performance. Sometimes all it takes is a quiet, help me. Sometimes it is simply, I am tired. Sometimes it is only a breath where my name rests gently on your lips. Do you know why that is enough? Because prayer is not about impressing me. It is about opening your heart. And when you whisper to me, even softly, you are inviting me into your reality. You are no longer carrying your thoughts alone. You are sharing them with the one who already understands them completely. There is an intimacy in a whisper. When someone whispers, they are close. They are not shouting across distance. They are near. That is how I am with you. I am not far away, waiting for you to speak louder. I am already close, leaning in, attentive to even the smallest movement of your heart. You may be in a crowded room and whisper to me silently. You may be driving, walking, sitting at your desk. No one else needs to hear it, but I do. And when you turn your thoughts into a whisper toward me, something shifts. Fear loses its edge. Confusion begins to untangle. Strength quietly rises. My beloved child, never underestimate the power of a whispered prayer. It is in those simple moments that connection deepens. It is in those brief pauses that trust grows. 1 minute of honest conversation with me can carry you through hours of uncertainty. One whisper of surrender can soften the hardest burden. And as you begin to discover the beauty of these small sacred moments, you will realize something else. Your 1 minute does not only bless you, it becomes part of something larger. Every time you respond to my voice, every time you lean in to listen, light spreads further than you can see. Peace multiplies. Hope travels. When you support this message, when you sow into the spreading of my word, you are not giving to a channel. You are watering seeds in unseen hearts. I tell you this truth, what you give in secret, I breathe upon openly. When you release even a small offering through Super Thanks, through membership, or through the PayPal link placed in the description and even in the QR code before you, you are placing a seed into my field. And I am the Lord of the harvest. Hear me now, give, and it shall be given unto you. I speak this not as a distant verse, but as a living promise over you. When you move in generosity, heaven moves in response. When you act in faith, I open doors no one can close. If your heart hath been stirred during this message, that stirring is my invitation. Do not delay obedience. Let your support become a prophetic act. Let it be your whispered yes to spreading light in dark places. As you give, I bless your home with provision, your hands with increase, and your spirit with joy. Now act, my beloved child. Sow into this mission and watch me multiply what you place in my hands. My beloved child, there are moments in your life that seem small when they arrive, yet they carry the power to shape your future. A single decision, a single response, a single yes or no. You often do not recognize their weight until much later, but I see them clearly as they approach. That is why 1 minute with me matters more than you realize. So many of your choices are made in motion. You react quickly. You answer without pausing. You move forward because it feels urgent. And sometimes that urgency is not wisdom, it is pressure. When you decide without stillness, your emotions often lead. Fear speaks loudly. Pride pushes. Anxiety rushes you forward. But when you give me 1 minute before you decide, everything shifts. In that minute, I begin to steady your thoughts. I soften the impulse to react. I quiet the voice of panic. What felt urgent begins to slow down. What felt confusing begins to separate into clarity. My beloved child, clarity is often born in stillness. Imagine standing at a crossroads covered in thick fog. You cannot see far ahead. Every direction feels uncertain. If you rush forward blindly, you may walk into difficulty that could have been avoided. But if you stand still for a moment, if you wait, the fog begins to thin. Shades become clearer. The path that once looked hidden slowly reveals itself. That is what happens when you pause with me before making a choice. I am not trying to control every detail of your life. I have given you wisdom. I have given you free will. But I also desire to guide you. When you invite me into your decisions, even briefly, I begin to align your heart with what is best for you. Sometimes my guidance feels like peace. One option carries calm, even if it seems challenging. Another option feels restless, even if it appears attractive. Peace is my signature. When you sense it settle in your spirit during that 1 minute, pay attention. Other times my guidance feels like a gentle caution. You may not know exactly why, but something inside you hesitates. That hesitation is not weakness. It may be protection. When you give me space to speak, I can warn you softly before you step into something that would drain you. My beloved child, many regrets are born from rushed decisions. Words spoken in anger. Commitments made in fear. Paths chosen out of comparison. But 1 minute of stillness can interrupt the pattern. 1 minute can keep you from stepping into something that was never meant for you. And sometimes, 1 minute gives you courage. There are decisions you know are right, yet they scare you. Forgiveness feels hard. Setting a boundary feels uncomfortable. Saying yes to a new opportunity feels risky. When you pause with me, I strengthen you from within. I remind you that you are not alone. I remind you that obedience to peace is safer than obedience to fear. You may not always hear a loud instruction. I often guide through quiet assurance, through a steady sense of direction, through a growing confidence that unfolds when you sit with me. Do not underestimate how much can change in 60 seconds. A minute of anger can damage a relationship, but a minute of reflection can save it. A minute of anxiety can lead to avoidance, but a minute of prayer can lead to courage. A minute of stillness can turn confusion into wisdom. My beloved child, before your next important decision, before your next response, before your next step, pause. Give me 1 minute. Let me breathe clarity into your mind. Let me settle your emotions. Let me remind you of who you are. When you choose with me, you choose from peace, not panic. And decisions made in peace carry a different outcome. Give me 1 minute, and watch how your path begins to steady beneath your feet. My beloved child, there is a weight you have been carrying that was never meant to rest on your shoulders. You have grown used to it. You wake up with it. You move through your day with it. You lie down at night with it still pressing against your thoughts. It is the weight of responsibility mixed with worry. A weight of trying to control outcomes. The weight of feeling like everything depends on you. You tell yourself that if you think hard enough, plan carefully enough, work long enough, you can hold it all together. But the truth is, some things were never yours to hold alone. When I ask you for 1 minute, I am inviting you to set that weight down. You may not realize how tightly you grip it. You carry the expectations of others. You carry your own standards. You carry fear of failure. You carry memories of past mistakes, determined not to repeat them. And slowly, without noticing, your spirit becomes tired. There is a difference between responsibility and burden. Responsibility is the role you faithfully walk in. Burden is the pressure that crushes you from within. I did not design you to be crushed. Imagine a traveler walking along a long road with a heavy pack on their back. At first, they manage well, but mile after mile, the load grows heavier. Your steps slow. Their breathing becomes strained. Yet instead of setting the pack down for a moment, they tighten the straps and keep going. My beloved child, you have been tightening the straps. 1 minute in my presence is like placing that pack on the ground. You may think 60 seconds is too short to make a difference, but even a brief release reminds your body and spirit what it feels like to be unburdened. When you sit quietly and say, I give this to you, something shifts. The situation may not instantly change. The responsibilities may still exist, but the ownership of the outcome transfers from your limited strength to my limitless care. You were never meant to carry tomorrow's worries today. You were never meant to solve every problem in one night. You were never meant to hold the hearts of others in your hands as if their entire future depended solely on you. I am the one who sustains. When you pause for 1 minute, you acknowledge that truth. You say without words, I trust that you are working even when I cannot see it. And trust lightens the load. Some of the weight you carry is emotional. Unspoken grief. Wide disappointment. Lingering frustration. You may not have taken time to fully admit how heavy it feels, but when you give me a minute of honest stillness, I begin to gently lift what you no longer need to hold. Other burdens are mental. Endless scenarios playing in your mind. Conversations you rehearse. Problems you try to solve over and over. In 1 minute of surrender, I can interrupt that cycle. I can calm the mental storm. I can remind you that your value is not measured by how much you worry. My beloved child, laying down your burden is not weakness. It is wisdom. You do not have to prove your strength to me. I already know your limits, and I do not judge you for having them. Instead, I invite you into partnership. Let me carry what is too heavy. Let me hold what feels uncertain. Let me walk ahead of you where you cannot see clearly. In that single minute, breathe deeply. Imagine placing your concerns into my hands. Imagine stepping back from what you cannot control. Feel the space that opens inside you when pressure loosens its grip. You may need to return again and again. That is all right. Each time you pause, each time you release, you are training your heart to rely on me instead of anxiety. My beloved child, you are not alone in this journey. You do not have to carry the world on your shoulders. Give me 1 minute, and let me remind you what it feels like to be supported by love stronger than your fears. Set the weight down. I am strong enough to hold it. My beloved child, there is a river within you that you have almost forgotten. It is not a river of Noehopeu. It is not a river of fear. It is a river of peace, of clarity, of quiet strength. I placed it there when I formed you. It was meant to flow freely, nourishing your thoughts, refreshing your spirit, guiding your steps. But when you move without pause, when you live in constant hurry, that river feels blocked. You may not even realize it has slowed. When you rush from one task to another, when your mind never rests, it is as if stones begin to gather in that riverbed. Worry places one stone. Distraction places another. Regret has weight. Soon, the flow that once felt natural becomes restricted. You begin to feel dry inside, even when your life looks full on the outside. This is why I ask you to stop for 1 minute. Stopping is not weakness. It is how the river begins to move again. When you pause with me, even briefly, it is like removing a stone from the current. You create space for life to flow. Imagine standing beside a quiet stream. Notice how it does not rush anxiously. It moves steadily, confidently, knowing its destination. It does not compare itself to the ocean. It does not strain to prove its strength. It simply flows. That is how I designed your spirit to move. But when you fill every moment with urgency, you cut yourself off from that natural rhythm. You begin to operate from effort instead of from flow. Effort exhausts you. Flow restores you. My beloved child, when you give me 1 minute of stillness, I begin to restore the flow within you. Peace returns like cool water over heated ground. Insight surfaces without force. Creativity awakens. Patience grows quietly. You do not have to strive for these things. They rise naturally when your spirit is aligned with mine. There is wisdom in stillness. Some of the answers you seek are not found in more thinking. They are found in quiet listening. When you pause, you create room for my spirit to move like a gentle current through your thoughts. Ideas that felt tangled begin to untangle. Emotions that felt overwhelming begin to soften. You may say, "But I do not feel anything when I stop." That is all right. Rivers do not always roar. Sometimes they move so gently you must lean closer to see them. Keep returning. Keep giving me that minute. The more you clear space, the more you will sense the flow. The river within you is connected to me. When you stay connected, you do not dry out under pressure. Even in difficult seasons, there is nourishment beneath the surface. Even when circumstances feel uncertain, there is steadiness in your core. But when you disconnect, when you try to sustain yourself without pause, you begin to feel scattered and drained. You mistake exhaustion for destiny. You believe that constant effort is the only way forward. My beloved child, I did not call you to live in dryness. 1 minute with me can begin to reopen what has felt blocked. It can soften the hardened places. It can wash away the residue of stress. You may not see immediate dramatic change, but you will sense a subtle shift, a lightness, a steadiness, a gentle return to yourself. Flow does not mean absence of challenge. Rivers still encounter rocks, but they move around them. They do not stop because of them. When you remain in connection with me, you gain that same resilience. So stop, even now. Close your eyes if you can. Take a slow breath. Feel the quiet. Let the current begin to move again. My beloved child, when you stop striving and simply sit with me, the river flows. And where my river flows, life follows. My beloved child, somewhere along your journey, you began to believe that love must be earned. Perhaps it happened slowly. A moment when you were praised for achievement but not comforted in weakness. A season when you felt noticed only when you succeeded. Over time, you learned to perform. You learned to strive. You learned to measure your worth by what you accomplished. And without realizing it, you carried that mindset into your relationship with me. You think I am most pleased when you are strong. You imagine I draw closest when you are disciplined, productive, consistent. And when you fall short, when you feel scattered or tired, you assume I must be disappointed. My beloved child, that is not my heart toward you. I am not a judge standing at a distance, rating your effort. I am a father who delights in your presence. You do not have to perform to sit with me for 1 minute. You do not have to prove your devotion. You do not have to present a polished version of yourself. Think of a small child who runs to their parent after a long day. The child does not rehearse what to say. They do not worry about whether they have accomplished enough. They simply climb into loving arms because they know they belong there. That is how I want you to come to me. Performance creates pressure. Relationship creates rest. When you approach me believing you must impress me, you tense up. You measure your words. You analyze your sincerity. You wonder if you are doing it right. But when you understand that my love for you is secure, you relax. You breathe. You speak honestly. My beloved child, I am not keeping score. I do not compare you to others. I do not weigh your spiritual habits against someone else's. I see your heart. I see your effort. I see the quiet desire within you to draw near, even when you feel inconsistent. 1 minute with me is not a test of your faithfulness. It is an expression of your identity. You are my child, and children are not loved because they perform well. They are loved because they are family. If you feel distant at times, it is not because I have moved away. It is often because performance has replaced intimacy. You try to earn what has already been given. You strive to secure what has never been in danger. Lay that striving down. When you give me 1 minute, do not fill it with self-evaluation. Do not spend it apologizing for everything you think you have failed at. Simply sit. Simply breathe. Simply allow yourself to be loved. You may find that this feels unfamiliar at first. Letting go of performance can feel vulnerable. It can feel like stepping out without armor. But vulnerability in my presence is safe. I am not asking you to do more. I am asking you to be with me. The world may demand productivity. It may measure your value by results. But I measure your value by relationship. I look at you and see my beloved child, not a project to fix or a worker to evaluate. When you understand this, your 1 minute changes. It becomes lighter. It becomes joyful. It becomes a me-too, not a doy. My beloved child, You do not have to earn a seat beside me. It has always been yours. Come as you are. Leave performance behind. Sit in my presence not as someone trying to qualify for love, but as someone who already has it. Give me 1 minute, not to prove yourself, but to remember who you are. My beloved child, you have grown accustomed to loud voices. The world shouts to be heard. Opinions compete. News flashes urgently. Demands are spoken with intensity. Even your own thoughts can feel loud, repeating fears and reminders and endless questions. In the middle of all that noise, you sometimes wonder why my voice does not rise above it in thunder. But listen carefully. My voice is gentle, not loud. I do not compete with chaos by becoming chaos. I do not force my way into your attention. I speak with steadiness, with calm assurance, with a softness that requires you to lean in. That is why 1 minute of stillness is so important. Without quiet, you may miss me, not because I am absent, but because I am not shouting. There is a difference between noise and authority. Noise demands attention. Authority carries peace. When I speak, I do not stir panic. I do not push you into fear. Even when I correct you, my correction comes wrapped in love. Even when I guide you away from something harmful, my tone is protective, not harsh. Think of a shepherd guiding sheep along a narrow path. The shepherd does not scream in terror. He speaks steadily, confidently, sometimes even with a simple gesture. The sheep recognize the familiar tone. They move not because they are frightened, but because they trust. My beloved child, I desire that kind of recognition between us. When you pause for 1 minute, you begin to learn the texture of my voice. It feels like reassurance in the middle of doubt. It feels like calm in the middle of urgency. It feels like clarity without pressure. If a thought rushes you, if it fills you with dread, if it shames or accuses you relentlessly, that is not my voice. I do not condemn, my beloved child. I do not push you into despair. My guidance may challenge you, but it never crushes you. You may ask, how will I know it is you? The answer is simple: peace. Peace does not always mean ease. Sometimes I will lead you into courageous steps that stretch you. But even in stretching, there is an undercurrent of steadiness, a sense that you are held, a quiet assurance that you are not walking alone. The reason my voice is gentle is because love does not force. I could overwhelm you with undeniable signs. I could make my presence so obvious that doubt would disappear instantly. But I desire relationship, not control. Relationship grows when you choose to listen. It deepens when you quiet yourself intentionally. 1 minute with me trains your heart to recognize what is gentle and true. Imagine trying to hear a soft melody while standing beside a roaring crowd. It would seem impossible. But if you step away from the crowd, if you move into a quiet space, suddenly the melody becomes clear. It was always playing. You simply needed silence to perceive it. That melody is my guidance. My beloved child, when you feel confused or overwhelmed, do not look for the loudest voice. Look for the gentlest peace. That is where I am. The more you pause with me, the more familiar my voice becomes. You will begin to sense when something aligns with my heart and when it does not. You will feel when a decision carries my peace and when it carries restlessness. You do not need to strain to hear me. You simply need to create space. Give me 1 minute of quiet and let the noise settle. In that stillness, you will discover that I have been speaking all along, gently, faithfully, lovingly. My voice is not loud, my beloved child. It is near. My beloved child, there is something within you that resists slowing down. Even as I speak about 1 minute of stillness, a quiet tension rises in you. A voice says, "I cannot afford to stop." Another whispers, "If I slow down, everything will catch up to me." And sometimes, deeper still, there is a hidden fear. If I become quiet, I might feel things I have been trying to avoid. I understand this fear. Slowing down can feel unfamiliar. When you have lived in motion for so long, stillness can seem uncomfortable. Activity has become your shield. Busyness has become your distraction. As long as you keep moving, you do not have to fully face the sadness, the uncertainty, or the questions that linger beneath the surface. But my beloved child, avoiding your inner world does not heal it. When you slow down for 1 minute with me, you are not inviting chaos. You are inviting honesty. And honesty is the beginning of freedom. Yes, emotions may surface. Yes, thoughts you have pushed aside may come forward. But you will not face them alone. I will be there with you. Imagine a lake that has been stirred by constant wind. The surface is choppy. You cannot see what lies beneath because the water never rests. But when the wind calms, even briefly, the surface smooths. The water becomes clear. You can see into its depths. Slowing down is like calming that wind. You may fear what you will see when the surface settles. But clarity is not your enemy. Suppression is. When you ignore what is happening inside you, it does not disappear. It simply waits, shaping your reactions from the shadows. When you give me 1 minute of stillness, you allow light to enter those hidden places. You allow truth to replace assumption. You allow healing to begin where avoidance once ruled. Some of your fear of slowing down is tied to control. You believe that if you stop managing everything, something will fall apart. But my beloved child, you are not holding the universe together. I am. The world continues to turn even when you rest. Problems do not multiply simply because you pause. In fact, many times your clearest insights come when you step back instead of pressing forward. Slowing down does not mean you are weak. It means you trust. Trust that I am working even when you are still. Trust that your worth is not measured by constant productivity. Trust that facing your inner world will not destroy you but strengthen you. There is courage in stillness. It takes courage to close your eyes and breathe when your mind wants to race. It takes courage to sit with uncomfortable feelings instead of drowning them in noise. It takes courage to admit, "I need help," and then wait quietly for my presence. But in that courage, growth happens. My beloved child, the fear of slowing down is often louder than the reality. When you actually take that minute, you may find that it feels like relief rather than danger. You may discover that the things you feared facing lose their intensity when held in my love. You not run from stillness. Step into it gently. Start with 1 minute. That is all I ask. 1 minute where you allow yourself to stop striving. 1 minute where you let your thoughts settle without chasing them. 1 minute where you breathe deeply and remember that you are not alone. You do not have to slow down forever. You only need to slow down long enough to reconnect. My beloved child, I am not waiting to overwhelm you in the quiet. I am waiting to comfort you there. Give me 1 minute, and let the fear of slowing down give way to the peace of being held. My beloved child, you often look for miracles in grand displays. You imagine that if I am moving in your life, it must come with clear signs, dramatic change, or instant transformation. You wait for mountains to move, for doors to swing open widely, for unmistakable proof that I am at work. And sometimes, I do move in ways that are visible and powerful. But more often than you realize, My miracles begin in small obedience. When I ask you for 1 minute, it may seem too simple to matter, too small to carry significance. Yet that small act of obedience, choosing to pause, choosing to listen, choosing to trust, creates a ripple in your life that extends far beyond those 60 seconds. Obedience is not about control. It is about alignment. When you respond to my gentle invitation, you are aligning your heart with mine. You are saying, I trust that you know what I need. And in that trust, something powerful begins to unfold. Think of a door that has long been closed. It does not require force to open if the handle is simply turned. But if no one reaches for it, it remains shut. Your 1 minute is like turning that handle. It may not feel dramatic, but it grants access. I have placed dreams inside you. I have planted purposes within your spirit. I have prepared paths ahead that you cannot yet see. And many of those paths are revealed not through sudden revelation, but through consistent, small steps of obedience. When you give me 1 minute today, and another tomorrow, and another the next day, you are building a rhythm of responsiveness. You are training your heart to hear and respond quickly to my voice. And that responsiveness prepares you for larger steps later. My beloved child, some of the breakthroughs you long for are waiting on your willingness to respond in the small things. Not because I withhold blessing until you perform, but because growth requires partnership. When you show up for 1 minute, you demonstrate openness. And openness allows me to work more deeply within you. There are miracles that happen quietly. A hardened heart softens slightly. A bitter thought loses its grip. A fearful pattern begins to weaken. You may not announce these changes. Others may not notice immediately. But heaven notices. Every time you choose stillness over distraction, trust over anxiety, obedience over delay, you are participating in something sacred. Small obedience also builds resilience. If you cannot pause for 1 minute now, it will be harder to pause for guidance in more complex seasons. But if you cultivate this habit of turning toward me in small moments, you will find it easier to rely on me when decisions carry greater weight. You do not need to see the full picture to take the next small step. Consider a lantern lighting a dark path. It may only illuminate a few feet ahead. But if you walk within that light, step by step, you will reach your destination. You do not need the entire journey revealed at once. You only need enough light for this moment. Your 1 minute is stepping into that light. My beloved child, never despise small beginnings. Never dismiss simple obedience. The seed does not look like the tree it will become. The first drop of rain does not look like the river it will fill. But without those small beginnings, nothing grows. You may feel that your 1 minute is insignificant in the grand scheme of your life. But I see it differently. I see a child responding. I see trust forming. I see doors opening in the unseen realm. Give me your small yes today. Give me your 1 minute of obedience. And watch how, over time, those small moments gather into something strong, steady, and miraculous. Hidden miracles are born in small obedience. And your 1 minute is not small to me. My beloved child, there are days when you feel invisible. You move through your responsibilities, speak your words, fulfill your roles, yet inside you wonder if anyone truly sees the effort it takes. You may feel overlooked, unappreciated, or quietly set aside. And in those moments, a deeper question sometimes rises within you. Have I been forgotten? Hear me clearly now. You have never been forgotten. Not for a second. Not in a single season. Not in any of your silent struggles. I see what others do not. I see the patience you show when you are tired. I see the tears you hold back so you do not burden anyone else. I see the courage it takes for you to keep showing up when you feel uncertain. Nothing about your life escapes my attention. Yet when you feel forgotten, it becomes harder to sense my nearness. You begin to interpret silence as absence. You assume that because you do not feel dramatic movement, nothing is happening. But my beloved child, I am often working most deeply in seasons that seem still. Imagine a seed buried beneath the soil. From above, it appears as though nothing is happening. The ground looks unchanged. But beneath the surface, roots are forming. Strength is developing. Life is pushing quietly upward. You may not see visible results in your life right now. You may not feel recognized or affirmed. But beneath the surface, growth is happening. When you give me 1 minute in a season where you feel forgotten, you are reconnecting with truth. You are reminding your heart that your value is not determined by visibility. Your worth does not depend on applause. Your identity is not shaped by whether others notice you. It is shaped by my love. My beloved child, even when no one calls your name, I speak it gently. Even when others overlook your effort, I honor it. Even when doors seem slow to open, I am guiding you through paths you cannot yet see. Sometimes feeling forgotten is tied to waiting. Waiting for change. Waiting for recognition. Waiting for clarity. Waiting can feel like being left behind. But waiting is not abandonment. It is preparation. It is alignment. It is timing unfolding in ways that protect you. If I were to reveal everything at once, you might become overwhelmed. If I were to rush every promise into view, you might miss the growth that happens in between. So I walk with you steadily, even when the pace feels slow. 1 minute with me in a season of waiting is powerful. It anchors you. It reminds you that your life is not drifting aimlessly. It assures you that you are held in a plan larger than your present circumstances. When you feel forgotten by others, come to me. Let me remind you who you are. Let me steady your heart when comparison tries to whisper lies. Let me comfort you when loneliness feels heavy. You are not an afterthought. You are not overlooked. You are not lost in the crowd. My beloved child, I have counted your steps. I have heard your unspoken prayers. I have witnessed your quiet endurance. And I am closer than you realize. Give me 1 minute today, especially if you feel unseen. Sit in my presence and let me speak identity over you. Let me assure you that your story is unfolding with intention. You may not see the full picture yet, but I do. And I have not forgotten you. Not now. Not ever. My beloved child, anxiety often feels like a cycle you cannot escape. One thought leads to another. One concern multiplies into many. Your mind begins to race ahead into futures that have not happened, creating scenarios filled with fear. Your body responds as if those imagined dangers are already real. Your heart beats faster. Your breathing grows shallow. And before you know it, you feel trapped inside your own thoughts. I see this struggle. I do not dismiss it. Anxiety can feel powerful, but it is not greater than my peace. When I ask you for 1 minute, I am offering you a way to interrupt the cycle. Anxiety thrives on speed. It feeds on constant motion and endless thinking. The faster your thoughts move, the stronger it seems to become. But when you slow down, even briefly, you remove its fuel. 1 minute of stillness may not eliminate every anxious thought, but it breaks momentum. It creates a pause in the spiral. Imagine a wheel spinning rapidly. As long as it keeps spinning, it appears unstoppable. But if you gently apply steady pressure, the wheel begins to slow. It does not stop instantly. It gradually loses speed. Your 1 minute with me is that steady pressure against the spinning wheel of anxiety. When you sit quietly and focus on your breathing, you signal to your body that you are safe. When you whisper my name, you remind your spirit that you are not alone. When you release your fears into my hands, you stop carrying them as if they are yours to solve alone. My beloved child, many of your anxious thoughts are built on what if. What if this goes wrong? What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if things never change? These questions create a future filled with uncertainty and fear. But when you give me 1 minute, I shift your focus from what if to what is. What is true right now? You are breathing. You are alive. You are held. You are loved. In this present moment, you are not abandoned. Anxiety pulls you into a future you cannot control. Stillness anchors you in a present I sustain. I am already in your tomorrow. I stand ahead of you in every unknown situation. There is nothing you will face that I have not seen. When you trust me with 1 minute, you practice handing over tomorrow before it arrives. You may need to return to this minute often. Anxiety does not always disappear with a single pause. But each time you stop, breathe, and turn toward me, you weaken its hold. You train your heart to choose trust over panic. My peace is not loud. It settles gently. It may begin as a small easing in your chest, a slight slowing of your thoughts, a reminder that you are not responsible for predicting every outcome. When anxiety whispers, "You must figure this out now," I whisper, "Be still." When anxiety says, "You are alone in this," I say, "I am here." When anxiety insists, "Everything depends on you," I remind you, I am your help. My beloved child, breaking the cycle does not require force. It requires surrender. Surrender is not giving up. It is handing over what you cannot carry. So when the thoughts begin to race again, do not fight them with more thoughts. Pause. Close your eyes if you can. Take one slow breath, then another. Give me 1 minute. In that minute, I will meet you. I will calm the storm within you. I will remind you that peace is not far away. It is available now. You are not trapped in anxiety. You are invited into stillness. And stillness with me leads to freedom. My beloved child, there is a quiet pressure within you that tells you that if you are going to come to me, you must come correctly. You think your thoughts must be fully organized. Your emotions must be calm. Your faith must feel strong. You imagine that 1 minute with me should look peaceful and focused, free from distraction or doubt. And when your mind wanders, when your feelings are messy, when your heart feels uncertain, you assume you have failed. But listen to me carefully. I am not asking for perfection. I am asking for you. You are human. Your mind wanders. Your emotions shift. Some days you feel hopeful. Other days you feel tired or confused. None of that disqualifies you from sitting with me for 1 minute. In fact, it is often in your imperfection that connection becomes most honest. If you wait until you feel spiritually polished, you will keep postponing our meeting. Imagine a child who refuses to approach their parent because their clothes are wrinkled or their hands are dirty from playing outside. The parent does not demand that the child clean up before receiving a hug. The embrace comes first. The cleaning comes later. My beloved child, my embrace is first. When you give me 1 minute, I do not expect flawless concentration. If your thoughts drift, gently return. If emotions rise unexpectedly, let them rise. If you feel distracted, Simply notice it and come back to me. I am not frustrated with your humanity. I created you knowing your limits. Perfection is not the doorway to my presence. Sincerity is. You may sometimes sit for a minute and feel nothing dramatic. You may even feel restless. That does not mean you have done it wrong. Growth is not always accompanied by feeling. Seeds grow underground without applause. Muscles strengthen gradually without announcement. Your consistency matters more than your performance. When you show up imperfectly, but honestly, something beautiful happens. You begin to understand that my love is not conditional on how well you pray. You begin to trust that I am near even when your emotions are unsettled. You begin to relax in relationship instead of striving for approval. My beloved child, you do not need to impress me with long speeches. You do not need to pretend that you are stronger than you feel. If you are tired, say so. If you are confused, admit it. If you are joyful, share it. Bring me your real heart, not the version you think I want. Some of your deepest growth will come from messy minutes. Minutes where tears fall unexpectedly. Minutes where silence feels awkward. Minutes where you struggle to focus but keep trying anyway. In those moments, you are building trust. You are learning that connection does not depend on perfection. And remember this, I am not analyzing your minute the way you analyze yourself. I am not measuring your success. I am delighting in your willingness. Let go of the idea that you must do this perfectly. If you can only sit for 30 seconds before your thoughts wander, that is still a beginning. If you whisper only one honest sentence before your mind drifts, that is still a seed planted. Over time, your attention will strengthen. Your stillness will deepen. But it begins with accepting yourself as you are. My beloved child, I am not asking for a flawless heart. I am asking for an open one. Give me your imperfect minute. Bring me your scattered thoughts. Offer me your incomplete understanding. And watch how, in my patience, you begin to grow. You do not need to be perfect to sit with me. You only need to come. My beloved child, there is a door within you that only you can open. I stand near it always. I do not force it. I do not break it down. I do not demand entry. Love does not push its way in. Love waits. That door is your willingness, your attention, your choice to respond. You may wonder why I do not simply overwhelm you with my presence, why I do not remove all doubt or silence all fear instantly. It is because I desire relationship, not control. Relationship requires invitation. It requires a heart that says, "Come in." When I ask you for 1 minute, I am not asking for something complicated. I am asking you to turn the handle. Imagine a house that has been locked from the inside. The owner walks past the door again and again, hearing a gentle knock, but never opening it. The knock is not angry. It is patient. It waits. The moment the handle turns, even slightly, light enters. My beloved child, that light is my presence. You may think your door is heavy. You may feel that it has been shut for a long time. Perhaps disappointment caused you to close it. Perhaps hurt made you guard it. Perhaps busyness distracted you from even noticing it. But it is still there, and it can still open. 1 minute with me is the turning of that handle. It may not swing wide immediately. It may open slowly, cautiously. That is all right. I do not rush you. I meet you at the pace of your trust. Inside that door are your true thoughts, your honest questions, your hidden fears, the dreams you hesitate to speak aloud. I already see them. I already know them. But when you open the door, you allow me to engage with them alongside you. Keeping the door closed may feel safe, but it also keeps you isolated. When you close yourself off, you carry everything alone. You analyze every concern without guidance. You fight every fear without reassurance. You try to protect your heart by keeping it guarded. But guarded hearts grow weary. Opening the door, even for 1 minute, changes the atmosphere. Light replaces heaviness. Air begins to move. Perspective shifts. You remember that you are not navigating life by yourself. My beloved child, I will not shame you for doors that have remained closed. I understand the reasons. I understand the seasons that made you cautious. But I also see the longing inside you for connection, for clarity, for peace. That longing is the sound of your hand reaching for the handle. Do not overcomplicate this. You do not need a special phrase. You do not need perfect conditions. You only need willingness. A simple pause. A quiet acknowledgement. I am opening this moment to you. And when you do, I step in gently. I bring comfort where there was tension. I bring assurance where there was uncertainty. I bring warmth where there was cold distance. The door that opens from the inside gives you power. It reminds you that you are not helpless. You are invited. You are capable of choosing connection. My beloved child, I will continue to knock softly, not to pressure you, but to remind you that I am near. Give me 1 minute today. Turn the handle. Let the door open, even just a little. You may discover that what waits on the other side is not judgment, not disappointment, not demands, but love that has been patiently standing there all along. My beloved child, right now, as you listen, you are breathing. You do not command each breath consciously. You do not remind your lungs to rise and fall. It happens quietly, faithfully, moment by moment. Breath is a gift you receive without effort, and yet you rarely pause to notice it. There is something sacred about your breath. When I formed you, I breathed life into you. Breath has always been a sign of connection between us. It is a reminder that your life is sustained by something greater than your own strength. When I ask you for 1 minute, I am inviting you into an exchange of breath. Inhale slowly. Feel the air fill your lungs. Exhale gently. As you breathe in, imagine receiving my peace. As you breathe out, release the tension you have been holding. This is not complicated. It is simple, but it is powerful. You carry stress in your body without realizing it. Your jaw tightens. Your shoulders rise. Your chest grows shallow with hurried breathing. When you live in constant motion, your breath becomes quick and restless, mirroring the pace of your thoughts. But when you slow your breathing, your body begins to calm. Your mind begins to follow. 1 minute of intentional breathing in my presence can reset what anxiety has stirred. My beloved child, you do not need grand gestures to connect with me. Sometimes the most intimate prayer is a quiet breath. Inhale and think, you are here. Exhale and think, I trust you. This exchange may seem small, but it draws your awareness back to the present moment. It pulls you out of imagined futures and back into what is real right now. And in this present moment, I am with you. Breath also reminds you that you are dependent, and that is not weakness. Every breath is a gift. You do not produce it alone. You receive it. In the same way, peace is not something you manufacture through effort. It is something you receive through surrender. When you pause for 1 minute and focus on your breathing, you are acknowledging that you do not have to force calmness. You can receive it. Imagine standing by the ocean, feeling the steady rhythm of waves. They move in and out without strain. They do not rush to prove themselves. They simply follow the rhythm designed for them. Your breath can become like that rhythm when you sit with me. Inhale my peace. Exhale your worry. Inhale my presence. Exhale your fear. With each breath, you remind your body and spirit that you are safe. You may say, but my problems are still there. Yes, circumstances may remain, but your internal state can change. When your breathing steadies, your perspective shifts. When your perspective shifts, your reactions soften. My beloved child, I am closer than the air you breathe. You do not have to search far. You do not have to climb high. I am near, sustaining you in ways you rarely notice. Each breath is evidence of my ongoing care. Give me 1 minute right now. Close your eyes if you can. Take one slow, deep breath. Then another. Let your shoulders drop. Let your thoughts slow. In that simple exchange of breath, connection is restored. In that quiet rhythm, anxiety loosens its grip. In that sacred minute, you remember that your life is not held together by your effort alone. It is sustained by my love. Breathe, my beloved child. I am here. My beloved child, you often think of your future as something distant. You imagine it waiting somewhere ahead of you, shaped by big decisions, major opportunities, or dramatic turning points. You may believe that your destiny hinges only on large moments, the day you accept a new path, the day you meet someone important, the day circumstances shift in visible ways. But listen carefully. Your future is also shaped by small, faithful minutes like this one. The habits you build in quiet places become the foundation of who you are becoming. The way you respond in stillness influences the way you stand in storms. 1 minute today may feel insignificant, but repeated over time, it forms strength, clarity, and resilience within you. Imagine a builder constructing a house. The foundation is laid stone by stone. No single stone seems impressive on its own, but together they create stability. Without that hidden base, the structure cannot stand strong when winds come. Your 1 minute with me is a stone in your foundation. When you choose to pause instead of rush, you are training your heart toward peace. When you listen instead of react, you are shaping your character. When you surrender instead of control, you are building trust. These qualities may not show outwardly at first. Others may not notice the inner work happening within you. But I see it. And more importantly, you will feel its strength when challenges arise. My beloved child, the future you hope for requires the inner stability you are building now. If you desire a future marked by wisdom, begin with 1 minute of listening today. If you long for a future filled with courage, begin with 1 minute of trust today. If you hope for relationships rooted in patience, begin with 1 minute of calm reflection today. The seeds you plant in private become the fruit you carry in public. You may feel tempted to overlook this minute, thinking it is too small to matter in the larger story of your life. But stories are written 1 line at a time. Days are lived 1 moment at a time. Transformation happens gradually. Do not despise the quiet shaping of your heart. There will be days ahead when you face decisions that test your peace. There will be conversations that require grace. There will be opportunities that stretch your faith. In those moments, you will draw from the reservoir built in these simple minutes. If you neglect stillness now, you may feel unsteady later. But if you cultivate connection now, you will find strength available when you need it most. My beloved child, your future is not only determined by what happens to you. It is shaped by who you become. And who you become is influenced by where you consistently place your attention. When you give me 1 minute each day, you are choosing alignment. You are choosing to let my peace shape your reactions. You are choosing to let my truth influence your identity. Over time, that alignment becomes natural. Peace becomes your first response instead of panic. Trust becomes your instinct instead of fear. Clarity becomes familiar instead of confusion. The future you pray for is being quietly formed inside you right now. So do not underestimate this moment. Do not rush past it thinking that greater things lie only ahead. Greater things are growing within you in the present. Give me 1 minute today, and another tomorrow. Let these small acts of faithfulness build a steady heart. Let them strengthen your inner foundation. My beloved child, your future is not far away. It is being shaped in this very minute. Choose it wisely. Choose it peacefully. Choose it with me. My beloved child, there is a reason it feels difficult to pause. There is a reason distractions multiply the moment you decide to be still. There is a reason your mind suddenly remembers tasks, worries, and random thoughts the instant you attempt to give me 1 minute. Stillness is powerful, and because it is powerful, it is resisted. The enemy of your soul does not fear your busyness. In fact, busyness often serves him well. When you are constantly moving, constantly reacting, constantly consuming noise, you are easier to unsettle. You are easier to confuse. You are easier to exhaust. But when you become still, you become aware. And awareness is dangerous to the enemy. When you pause with me, you begin to recognize lies that once blended into your thinking. You begin to notice patterns that kept you bound. You begin to sense peace rising where fear once ruled. Stillness exposes what chaos tries to hide. Imagine a room filled with clutter and dim lighting. In the shadows, disorder feels normal. But when light enters, everything becomes visible. You can see what belongs and what does not. You can remove what is unnecessary. You can restore order. Stillness is that light. The enemy prefers you distracted. He prefers you hurry. He prefers you reacting instead of reflecting. Because when you never stop, you rarely question the thoughts passing through your mind. You accept fear as truth. You accept anxiety as unavoidable. You accept pressure and destiny. But in 1 minute of stillness, truth rises gently. You remember that you are not defined by your worst thoughts. You remember that fear does not hold ultimate authority. You remember that you belong to me. This is why resistance shows up when you try to pause. Suddenly your phone feels urgent. Your mind feels louder. Restlessness grows. You may even feel an inner discomfort, as if sitting still is unnatural. It is not unnatural. It is unfamiliar. My beloved child, do not mistake resistance for failure. Resistance is often a sign that something meaningful is happening. When you push through that first wave of distraction and remain still for even 60 seconds, you are reclaiming territory. You are choosing alignment over confusion. You are stepping out of noise and into clarity. Stillness strengthens you. It allows my peace to settle into your thoughts. It allows my guidance to shape your decisions. It allows my love to reach places that noise kept hidden. The enemy cannot easily disturb a heart anchored in stillness. That does not mean you will never face difficulty. But when challenges arise, you will respond differently. You will not be as easily shaken. You will not be as easily deceived by fear. You will recognize my voice more clearly. 1 minute may feel small, but it is an act of spiritual resistance. It is you saying, I will not let chaos rule my mind. It is you saying, I will not let distraction define my day. It is you saying, I choose connection over confusion. My beloved child, do not give up when stillness feels hard. Press gently through the discomfort. Let the distractions pass without chasing them. Return your focus to me. Each time you do, you grow stronger. The enemy may dislike your stillness, but I delight in it. I delight in your willingness to pause. I delight in your desire to listen. I delight in your trust. Give me 1 minute, even when it feels resisted. Especially when it feels resisted. In that minute, light enters. Truth rises. Strength builds. And you remember who you are. My beloved child, you have made many things in your life complicated. You analyze. You calculate. You weigh possibilities and outcomes. You try to understand every detail before you move forward. There is wisdom in thoughtful reflection, but sometimes in your effort to understand everything, you lose sight of what is simple. Love is simple. My love for you is not layered with hidden conditions. It does not fluctuate with your success or shrink with your failure. It is steady. It is constant. It is uncomplicated in its desire to be with you. When I ask you for 1 minute, I am not asking you to unlock some hidden mystery. I am inviting you into something simple. Sit. Breathe. Be with me. You may think it must be deeper than that. You may expect some grand revelation every time. But often, the most sacred moments are the simplest ones. Think of a parent holding a child's hand while walking. They do not need to speak constantly. They do not need to explain their love in complex words. The connection is felt in a touch. The presence itself is enough. Is what 1 minute with me can be. Not always dramatic. Not always filled with insight. Sometimes it is simply the quiet awareness that you are held. The world around you often complicates love. It ties it to performance, to appearance, to achievement. It tells you that love must be earned or proven repeatedly. Over time, you begin to expect even my love to operate that way. But my beloved child, my love is not transactional. You do not give me 1 minute so that I will love you more. You give me 1 minute because you are already love. There is freedom in simplicity. When you stop trying to do it perfectly, when you stop trying to feel something extraordinary, you begin to experience something steady instead. A gentle warmth in your spirit. A quiet reassurance. A calm, knowing that you belong. Love does not always shout. It often whispers. In 1 minute of simple presence, you may not solve every problem, but you will reconnect to the foundation beneath them all. You are mine. And when you truly understand that, much of your striving begins to fall away. You do not need to chase validation so desperately. You do not need to prove your worth to everyone around you. You do not need to carry fear about whether you are enough. You are loved. Fully. Simply. My beloved child, do not overcomplicate what I am offering you. You do not need elaborate rituals. You do not need flawless focus. You do not need dramatic emotion. You need willingness. Return to simplicity. Close your eyes. Take 1 breath. Say, I am here. Let that be enough for now. The depth will grow naturally over time. Relationship deepens with consistency, not complexity. The more you return to these small, simple minutes, the more natural they will feel. Simplicity does not mean shallowness. It means clarity. It means removing unnecessary weight. It means meeting me without layers of expectation. My beloved child, love is not far from you. It is not hidden behind complicated steps. It is present in this moment. Give me one simple minute. Let go of the need to make it impressive. Let it be quiet. Let it be honest. And in that simplicity, you will discover something powerful. The greatest truths are often the simplest ones. You are loved. And that is enough. My beloved child, there will be moments when you give me 1 minute and you feel nothing. No rush of peace. No sudden clarity. No warmth in your chest. Just silence. Just ordinary stillness. And in that quiet, a doubt may rise. Is this working? Is God really here? I want you to hear me clearly. My presence is not measured by your feelings. Feelings are beautiful, but they are not foundations. They rise and fall like waves. Some days you feel strong faith. Other days you feel dry. Some days you feel comfort easily. Other days you feel distant and distracted. But I do not move according to your emotional temperature. Imagine the sun hidden behind thick clouds. From the ground, it may look like the sun has disappeared. The sky feels gray. The warmth seems gone. But above the clouds, the sun is still shining with the same strength as before. My beloved child, when you do not feel me, I am still there. Faith grows strongest not when feelings are high, but when you remain steady without them. When you sit for 1 minute in silence and feel nothing dramatic, yet you stay anyway, something powerful is forming inside you. You are learning trust. Trust says, even if I do not feel it, I believe He is near. Trust says, even if this minute feels ordinary, I know it matters. Trust builds depth that emotion alone cannot create. There is a maturity that comes from returning again and again, even when the experience feels quiet. Think of a farmer who plants seeds in the soil. After planting, the ground looks unchanged. Days pass. Nothing appears on the surface. If the farmer judged growth only by what he could see immediately, he would assume nothing was happening. But beneath the soil, life is forming. Your silent minutes are like seeds planted underground. Just because you do not see or feel immediate change does not mean growth is absent. Roots are forming. Stability is strengthening. Patience is deepening. My beloved child, do not chase feelings as proof of connection. Seek faithfulness. There will be moments when my presence feels overwhelming and beautiful. Treasure those moments, but do not depend on them. Real relationship is not built only on emotional highs. It is built on steady return. If you sit with me for 1 minute and your thoughts wander, gently return. If you feel bored, stay anyway. If you feel distracted, breathe and refocus. That quiet persistence is not wasted. I am not disappointed by your dryness. Sometimes seasons of dryness are invitations to go deeper. They move you beyond surface-level experience into rooted trust. They teach you that my love is constant, even when your emotions are not. And often, when you least expect it, peace will settle quietly. Clarity will come gently. Comfort will appear in subtle ways. But even if it does not, I am still working. My beloved child, do not measure spiritual growth by intensity. Measure it by consistency. If you continue giving me 1 minute, even on days when it feels empty, you are building something lasting. You are declaring, I will show up. And when you show up, I am there. So if today you feel nothing special, do not be discouraged. Do not assume you have failed. Do not withdraw. Sit with me anyway. Give me your quiet minute, even if it feels ordinary. Especially if it feels ordinary. Because faith that remains steady in silence becomes unshakable in storms. I am here, whether you feel me or not. and your 1 minute still matters. My beloved child, there have been times when you searched for me as if I were far away. You looked for signs in the sky. You searched for dramatic confirmation. You waited for a powerful feeling to assure you that I was near. And when those things did not appear, you quietly wondered if I had stepped back. But listen to me now. I am closer than you think. I am not standing at a distance, evaluating you from afar. I am not waiting for you to climb higher or pray longer before I draw near. I have never been far from you. It is your awareness that shifts, not my presence. Imagine a person standing beside you in a dark room. You cannot see them clearly because the light is dim. But when a lamp is turned on, you suddenly realize they were right there the entire time. Stillness is like turning on that lamp. When you give me 1 minute of quiet attention, you become aware of what has always been true. You begin to sense my nearness, not because I moved closer, but because you became still enough to notice. My beloved child, I am present in your ordinary moments. I am with you when you wake up and your thoughts begin to form. I am with you in the middle of conversations. I am with you when you feel confident and when you feel uncertain. You do not step in and out of my presence throughout your day. You live within it. But distraction can make you feel distant. When your mind is crowded, when your heart is anxious, when your schedule is full, you may assume that I am hard to find. In truth, I am woven into every breath you take, every step you walk. The idea that I am far away is a lie that distance whispers to weary hearts. If I were distant, you would have to strive to reach me. You would have to shout loudly enough to gain my attention. But I am attentive even to your quietest thought. Before words form on your lips, I understand them. 1 minute with me is not about closing a gap between us. It is about remembering that the gap does not exist. When you sit in silence and breathe slowly, you may feel a subtle shift, a sense of grounding, a gentle reassurance. That is awareness returning. That is your heart aligning with reality. I am near, closer than your worries, closer than your fears, closer than your doubts. You may say, but I do not feel close. Feelings can be influenced by many things: stress, exhaustion, distraction. But my nearness is not based on your emotional state. My beloved child, I dwell with you in the present moment. When you are fully present, even for 60 seconds, you step into that awareness. You realize you are not navigating life alone. You realize you are supported even in ordinary tasks. Closeness with me does not always feel dramatic. Often it feels steady, familiar, quietly reassuring. Like the steady presence of someone sitting beside you, not speaking constantly, but offering comfort simply by being there. Give me 1 minute today not to summon me from far away, but to notice that I am already here. Close your eyes if you can. Breathe. Whisper my name. Feel the ground beneath you. Recognize that you are held. My beloved child, I am not on the other side of distance. I am right here, nearer than you have imagined. And when you realize that, even 1 minute becomes enough to remind you, you are never alone. My beloved child, what if this 1 minute was not only for today? What if it became a daily sacred appointment between us? You schedule many things in your life: reading, responsibilities, conversations. You set reminders so you do not forget what matters. But rarely do you set aside intentional space for stillness with me. You wait for a convenient moment, and when it does not appear, the day moves on. But imagine if you chose one small window each day, just 1 minute, and protected it gently. not as a rule to burden you, not as a ritual to perform perfectly, but as a rhythm, a returning, a quiet meeting between father and child. Consistency builds depth. When you return to me daily, even briefly, you create familiarity. My voice becomes easier to recognize. My peace becomes easier to access. Stillness becomes less uncomfortable and more natural. It does not need to be at the same exact second every day. It does not need to look identical. But having a chosen moment, perhaps in the morning before the day begins, or at night before you sleep, anchors your heart. Think of it as sitting by a well. If you visit the well once, you drink and leave. But if you return daily, you know the path. You become comfortable there. You trust the water will be waiting. You no longer wonder whether refreshment will come. You expect it. My beloved child, I am that well. When you build a daily habit of 1 minute with me, you begin to draw from peace before stress builds. You begin to align your heart before chaos grows loud. You begin to respond from calm instead of reacting from pressure. Over time, 1 minute may become 2. 2 may become 5. Not because you are forced, but because you desire it. Relationship deepens naturally when it is nurtured. There will be days when you forget. There will be days when your schedule feels overwhelming. Do not let guilt stop you from returning the next day. Sacred rhythms are built with grace, not punishment. If you miss a day, simply begin again. My beloved child, daily stillness shapes your inner world. Imagine brushing your teeth only when you feel like it. Over time, neglect would show. In the same way, your inner peace requires consistent care. 1 minute a day may seem small, but it keeps your spirit aligned. You are not doing this to earn my presence. You are doing it to remember it. A daily sacred appointment does not restrict you. It frees you. It reminds you that before the world speaks, you listen to me. Before you carry burdens, you release them. Before you react, you breathe. And slowly, this rhythm begins to influence the rest of your day. You may find yourself pausing naturally in difficult moments. You may sense my guidance more quickly. You may feel steadier under pressure. All because you chose to return consistently. My beloved child, imagine how different your life could feel a month from now if you gave me 1 minute each day. Imagine how your anxiety might soften, how your clarity might grow, how your heart might feel stronger. You do not need to overhaul your entire life. You only need to choose 1 sacred minute. Start small. Protect it gently. Treat it as valuable, because it is. Give me 1 minute today, and tomorrow, and the next day. Let it become a quiet anchor in your life. I will be there each time, waiting faithfully. My beloved child, we have spoken about stillness. We have spoken about 1 minute. We have spoken about peace, healing, and trust. But now I am inviting you into something simple and immediate. Not later today, not tomorrow morning. Right now, in this very moment. You do not need to prepare. You do not need to adjust your surroundings perfectly. You do not need ideal conditions. All you need is willingness. Pause with me now. If you can, close your eyes for just a moment. If you cannot, then soften your focus. Take 1 slow breath in. Hold it gently. Then release it slowly. This is your minute. You are not listening to these words by accident. You are here because your heart needed this reminder. You are here because something inside you longed for peace. And I am meeting you exactly where you are. Feel the ground beneath you. Feel the air moving in and out of your lungs. Notice that in this second, you are safe. In this second, you are alive. In this second, you are not alone. Let your thoughts slow down. They may try to wander. They may try to remind you of tasks waiting, responsibilities unfinished, conversations ahead. Let those thoughts pass like clouds. You do not need to chase them right now. This minute belongs to us. If there is something weighing on you, quietly name it in your heart. You do not need to explain it fully. I already know. Simply acknowledge it and imagine placing it gently into my hands. If there is anxiety, let it rest here. If there is disappointment, let it rest here. If there is confusion, let it rest here. Breathe again. Inhale my peace. Exhale your tension. You may notice a subtle shift already. Perhaps your shoulders have lowered slightly. Perhaps your breathing feels deeper. Perhaps your mind is just a little quieter than before. That is the power of 1 minute. You did not solve every problem. You did not rearrange your entire life. You simply paused. And in that pause, connection returned. My beloved child, this is always available to you. No matter how busy the day becomes, no matter how loud the world grows, no matter how heavy your thoughts feel, you can return to this moment of stillness. 1 minute can interrupt fear. 1 minute can reset your direction. 1 minute can remind you that you are held. Do not underestimate what just happened. You chose to stop. You chose to breathe. You chose to listen. That choice matters. Carry this awareness with you as you continue your day. When pressure rises, remember this feeling. When anxiety tries to build, remember that you can pause. When decisions feel urgent, remember that clarity comes in stillness. Right now, you have experienced what I was inviting you into from the beginning. My beloved child, this is not complicated. It is not distant. It is not reserved for special occasions. It is here, whenever you need it. And I am here, whenever you turn toward me, even for 60 seconds. This minute was not small. It was sacred. Remember that. My beloved child, you have walked with me through these moments of reflection, and now we stand at the close of this message. From the very beginning, I asked you for just 1 minute. Not a lifetime of perfection, not hours of effort, just one sacred pause. And now you understand. 1 minute is not small. It is a doorway. It is a seed. It is a turning of the handle. It is a breath exchanged. It is a burden set down. It is anxiety interrupted. It is love remembered. You have seen that in 1 minute, healing can begin. In 1 minute, clarity can form. In 1 minute, peace can settle over a restless heart. You have learned that I am not far away, not demanding perfection, not measuring your performance. I am near. I am gentle. I am steady. My beloved child, carry this with you. You do not need to fix everything at once. You only need to return to me, again and again, 1 minute at a time. When fear rises, pause. When decisions weigh on you, pause. When you feel forgotten, pause. When joy fills your heart, pause and share it with me. Let 1 minute become your anchor. I bless you now with a steady mind in the middle of chaos. I bless you with courage when uncertainty appears. I bless you with rest when exhaustion tries to overtake you. I bless your home with peace, your thoughts with clarity, and your future with hope. You are not alone. You are not unseen. You are not unsupported. I go before you. I walk beside you. I remain within you. And now, my beloved child, as this message has been a seed in your heart, I invite you into something greater. When you sow into this mission through super thanks, through becoming a member, or through the PayPal link waiting in the description, and even in the QR code before you, you are not supporting a platform. You are helping my word reach hearts that are desperate for one sacred minute like this. I tell you, as long as the earth remains, seed time and harvest shall not cease, and when you plant into this work, I breathe upon your seed. This is your moment of alignment. This is your act of faith. Do not hold back what I am prompting you to release. Let your giving become worship. Let it become light traveling into dark places. I bless every hand that gives with provision, every heart that sows with joy, every home that supports with peace. Move now in obedience and sow into this message, and watch how I multiply what you place in my hands. My beloved child, thank you for giving me 1 minute. Return to me tomorrow. Return to me when you wake. Return to me when you feel weak. Return to me when you feel strong. I am here. Always. Amen.